So we'll do something a little different today. But anyway, first, before I get into the subject, I want to give a few shout outs here to a few people that I like, and one that's helped me out a lot here with the videos. The first is Lance Rogers, Lance Rogers Studio. You can see him in the credits description below. He provides some music for me, Face It and Chase. And he has a lot of other music that he's created as well. So if you want to follow his link to Instagram, Lance is a very talented digital musician, and I recommend him highly. Great guy. And actually, I'll talk about him a little later. Anyway, then we have ChipSealRider. I've been following him down in Georgia. I believe he lives in southwest Georgia, maybe, something like that. He does a lot of riding on his ST1300. Looks like a lot of pine country and whatnot. Beautiful down there, at least this time of year. Probably gets pretty hot in the summer. But he has some nice videos, and he reminds me of a friend I have in Dawsonville, Georgia. They sound quite a bit alike. And it's kind of like a comfortable feeling. And the next one, last but not least, is Bob Nelson. Bob Nelson has a YouTube channel as well, and Bob is one of those folks that's really salt of the earth, straight ahead guy. You know what he is and what he isn't. And he's a really nice guy, and I enjoy his videos. And also his commentary. He likes to comment on, basically there's a live stream that comes on Sundays with Bronco Ride, Harley Day Rider, and Bodine 52. They do kind of a live feed kind of thing. And Bob likes to comment in the live chat there. And I've kind of met him there, and you know, we say hi, how you doing? And I subscribe to his channel and I watch it, and Bob's really cool. Anyway. So there we go. Nothing really new here. I was going to discuss this video today is what got you involved in riding? You know, why? When? For me, it happened at an early age. As you can see from the thumbnail on there, me sitting on a tractor when I was probably a year and a half old, something like that. I've always been attracted to mechanical things, you know, cars, motorcycles, heavy equipment and whatnot. For instance, you know, one of my neighbors, my next door neighbor, as a little kid, probably 3 or 4 years old, I don't know how old I was, I could barely remember it, but he had a Triumph parallel twin bike. He used to keep parked in his driveway, and I used to hop over the fence and jump on the bike. And he would get really pissed because he didn't want me on his bike, but I just loved sitting on that motorcycle. And ever since then, I've, you know, kind of been into those kinds of things. For instance, you know, my dad, he rode before he married my mom. He had a Triumph also, 500 Tiger. It was one of the first years with the straight seats, so I'm thinking mid-50s sometime. Kind of like an aqua green kind of color with white stripes on the tank. Really beautiful bike, the pictures that I saw. And Triumphs back then had the 360-degree crank, and they had a unique sound, unlike today where they kind of sound like a V-twin because of the offset crank pins. But I digress. Anyway, so my question to you is, you know, when did you get into riding? Like, what attracted you? What really got you involved in this whole thing of riding a motorcycle? Or maybe you're into cars too, or maybe you're into tractors. You know, when I lived in Iowa, restoring tractors was a really big thing. Some of the old farm walls and other types of tractors, international and whatnot. But, you know, for me, like I said, I started at a young age. I've always been attracted to mechanical things, hands-on kind of things. You know, when I was young, I was always messing with cars. In fact, I could tell you an anecdote. When I was probably about 5 years old, I went with my mother to visit one of my older sisters who was like 19 years older than me. You know, she married and had her own kids. And, you know, mom's car was parked in the driveway, so I got it in my head. I don't know how old, like I said, I was 4 or 5 years old. Oh, let me make believe I'm driving the car, and I pulled the car out of a park, and it started rolling down the driveway because the driveway was on an incline, and basically it rolled into the street, and across the street, I remember, was this burnt orange 57 Chevy Bel Air, and my mom's car basically hit right behind the door. It was a 2-door, and just like, you know, crushed in the forward part of the quarter panel. And boy, was that a stink. Boy, did I get it. And here's the funny thing. I actually tried to reach the brake to stop the car, and I couldn't because I was too small. And so it goes, man. My childhood and whatnot, I was always getting into something. And maybe in some of my other videos, I'll give you some of my other stories of getting into shit. But I've always been kind of attracted to, you know, like I said, cars and motorcycles and that kind of things that are kind of tactile, hands-on, more or less. And even at a young age, you know, I was fiddling with stuff like making, you know, 10-year-old kid making custom air cleaners for his dad's car. Or I remember not much after that, I created a cold air induction system on my mother's Delta 88. It had a 425 high compression in it, 1965. And I, you know, got like dry ducts, and I made like a cold air induction from, you know, kind of like the AK, like the 1969 W30s. So that's where my head was at a young age. I always liked fiddling with things. It was my kind of outlet and whatnot. So I didn't get my first motorcycle till I was probably, not even a motorcycle, it's a motorized 2-wheel vehicle. Probably when I was in 8th or 9th grade, something like that. My brother and I, Mom picked up a Rupp mini bike. I'll put it in a picture here. And that was our first 2-wheeled vehicle, as it were. And we built the engine with Dad. It had a Tecumseh 3.5 horse engine, repainted it and everything. It was like a Chevy Orange with a silver gas tank. And it was a lot of fun, and that thing was really fast. We could do about 35 miles an hour with it, and if you push the governor on the engine in, you could hit probably about 40, which for a mini bike was fast. I had friends who had the Black Beauties, and we used to bury them. So it was a lot of fun. So growing up, you know, who are my influences, basically? Like I said, Dad had a bike before he was married, so I had stories of that. He had some cousins that rode too and would stop by the house, and with their motorcycles. I remember his cousin Lou had a CX500, if you remember those. I think it was a CX500 or a 650. It was the Honda liquid-cooled V-twin that was kind of like a Moto Guzzi. And then what else? We had neighbors that had motorcycles. Like I'll show you another picture of a bike that Mr. Biesecker had up here somewhere. Basically, he had a Honda 350 4-cylinder, if you remember those. And we thought that was just the bee's knees, man. That was some hot shit of a 4-cylinder motorcycle. And God bless Mr. Biesecker, he used to help us out. My friend Manny that lived across the street had a CT70, I think it was, a Honda. And they took it down to the high school track and like ran over like a hard edge and flattened the rim out, screwed it up. And basically, Manny was shitting bricks, and you know, his father found out he'd get his ass kicked. So Mr. Biesecker basically hammered the rim out and whatnot. He was really handy with mechanical stuff and whatnot, did all his own maintenance. He was an engineer at Grumman. But God rest his soul, he passed away not long after that from cancer, and but he was a really cool guy. And like I said, Manny had the CT70, then we had another kid down the block, Stevie, and he had an RM125, then an RM250. He was into dirt bikes. And then who else had motorcycles? So basically, all of us kind of like hung out, and then we had another friend, Chris Brantley, and he had a 50cc Suzuki. It was kind of like a moped, but it had 3 speeds. That was an interesting bike, and Chris was always monkeying with that, trying to get more power out of it, if you can believe it. You know, taking the head off and trying to mill it for higher compression and screwing with stuff. So I kind of grew up in a, like I said, it was more of like a blue-collar neighborhood, suburban New York. And us kids had a lot to do in the summer, you know, and whatnot, trying to have fun with 2 wheels. So that's kind of my story, like in short form. I'm sure there'd be a lot of other stories. Other influences, because I come from that era, is Evel Knievel. I mean, when we had bicycles and stuff, we used to make ramps and jump. I mean, I'm sure if some of you are old enough, you probably or might have done the same thing. You know, we just thought Evel Knievel was the coolest, man, jumping his Harley Davidson. You know, and back when I was a kid, you know, Harleys were the shit, you know. and then, like I said, Triumphs, and then Honda came out with their 754, which was a blast. I remember my drum teacher, Bill Kramer, had a 750F, and he gave me a ride home a couple times on the back of it, and that thing was pretty cool. And then the Kawasaki came out with the KZ1000, which I actually owned one. That was my first real street bike, and they were really cool bikes. So, yeah, that's my story about how I kind of got into bikes in short form. You know, like I said, as time goes on, I'll probably give some anecdotes and whatnot about, you know, how I got into riding and some of the stupid shit that we did, and we're lucky to be alive kind of thing. Anyway, that's it for me. So please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified, you know, whenever I post something new, which will be probably at least once or twice a week. I'm shooting for twice a week basically now, usually Friday, Saturday, somewhere in that time frame. I may try to get something out in the middle of the week, like Wednesdays too, and split it up that way. But right now it's been more on the weekend because that's when I have more free time to edit and whatnot. Anyway, thanks for watching. Something a little lighter in this video, which I think I need to do a little bit more of. And thanks for watching again, and you be you. Everybody else is taken. Thanks.